It's very late, um, Saturday night, Sunday morning, weekend night in Antigua. It's been a very rainy weekend with Tropical Storm Fiona being in the area. We were on Tropical Storm watch overnight, and here I am, not sleeping. And I thought, since I have to finish this book shelf clearing project, that I would make it fun by doing a book tag. I saw one on Run Right Reads, um, Count to 10 book tag, so I'm going to try that. Count with me? Okay, so the first one is supposed to be first in a series. I think this counts. This is like the first three in a series. It's the Wraithu Chronicles by Storm Constantine. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but I read this a long time ago. It's a fantasy series. Um, the, the synopsis seems kind of short, so let me remind myself. In this powerful and elegant story set in a future Earth, very different from our own, as do most fantasy series on Earth, very different from our own, a new kind of human has evolved to challenge the dominion of Homo sapiens. The new breed is stronger, smarter, and far more beautiful than their parent race, and are endowed with psychic as well as physical gifts. They are destined to supplant humanity as we know it, but humanity won't die without a struggle. So this is very thick, and um, the it includes the first three books in the series. So it's the enchantments of flesh and spirit, the bewitchments of love and hate, the fulfillments of fate and desire. So since I've read the entire volume, I've read the first book in the series, so this counts. I also have a later book in the series, which I think might be a prelude, but I'm not sure. This one, um, The Shades of Time and Memory. So that's my first. That's number one. So number two is two copies of a book. I don't keep books. At the my state of my bookcase notwithstanding, I don't really keep books. So I barely have one copy of the books that I really love. I've donated many books over the years once I'm done reading them, except for the ones that I can't let go of. So unfortunately, or fortunately, the only books I have two copies of, or more than one copy of, would be one of my books. So, shameless plug alert. So I have, these are three copies of Musical Youth. This is the original, just after it won the Burt Award. It won second place in the Burt Award, first runner-up. That's the seal there. And this is the original cover art by Glenmore Aaron, Antiguan and Barbudan artist. And then the book was reissued in different versions. They had a second edition. This is a hardcover, same cover but with some changes to the cover design. And then this one, paperback, same updated 2019 edition of Musical Youth. Number three is three colors on the cover. I'm going to use this one because it's the most colorful thing I see right now on the shelf, and also because I need to relocate it. I just realized that I had this filed in the wrong place. It's a book that I have something in, so it should be with my books. Um, it's A River of Stories. It's tales and poems from across the Commonwealth. This is volume 4, Fire. So it's stories from around the world, but themed fire. And they have stories and poems from Mozambique to Barbados to the Seychelles to Botswana, just all over the place. And little Antigua is in here as well. So number 4 is a book with 4 more perspectives. And I immediately reached for Elin Harris. Um, it's been a while since I read Elin Harris. I used to love his books. Rest in peace to him. Um, but I couldn't remember if Abide with Me, how many perspectives was in Abide with Me. But his books have multi-character books, and I believe, if memory serves, that you get to walk in each character's perspective. But I think the main series, the one that I used to read, had three. I want to say 3 points of view, so that's not four. So, but I remember there was another one that had multiple characters, and I think it's this one, If This World Were Mine. Um, I think so. This one, okay, so this has Riley, Dwight, Yolanda, Leland. That's four. So, four perspectives at least in If This World Were Mine by Elin Harris. Number 5 is a 5-star read. I was staring at my shelf blankly, trying to, because I don't give 5 stars easily, even for books that I absolutely love. Um, I guess I'm that person. You know, if I give like a 3 or 4 star, it means that I liked or really liked the book. 5 star is those books that are just in another stratosphere for me, not just a book that I loved or liked. But since I have to choose, I'm going to go with a tried and true one, which is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. This is obviously a very old edition. It's actually Little Women, Good Wives, and Little Men. So it's the entire volume. I don't remember how I got this, but I know I've had it since I was a child. And someone else's name is in it. So I hope I didn't like klepto it or anything. But hey, it's mine. It's been a while. Um, it's just one of my favorite books. I was really thrilled when I got to visit like the Louisa May Alcott house, and when I went to Massachusetts, and just um, I I love this book. I love the characters. I love Joe. I love the Winona Ryder version of Little Women. That's the one from my period when I was a younger woman. Um, yeah, it's 5 star for me, even though I haven't read it in a long time. I've seen all the movies, all the more recent movies. I haven't seen the classic ones, like with Katharine Hepburn and so on. But yeah, Little Women is, for me as a writer and for me as a girl and woman, even a black girl and woman in the Caribbean, found a lot to relate to in Little Women and just think it was really well crafted. So I'll give it 5 stars. Sure. 6 is supposed to be a short story collection. So I'm going to pull this one called I Know What the Red Clay Looks Like. I Know What the Red Clay Looks Like by Rebecca Carroll, edited by Rebecca Carroll, but with different authors. The voice and vision of black women writers. So some of the writers in this collection are, let me see if Tina McElroy Answer. I used to love her books as well. I haven't read her in a while. I should check her out and see what's new. Pearl Cleage, J. California Cooper, Rita Dove, Nikki Giovanni, Marita Golden, Gloria Naylor. Yeah, those are some of the writers in this collection whom I've read. And this collection came out when? It was a gift from a friend at the time. And it came out in 1994, which was actually, I think, a good period for, contemporary African American, Black Caribbean literature. There was just so many new writers on the scene, and these were some of the writers that were kind of in the vanguard. You have like a Gloria Naylor, Women of Brewster Place, and so on. So, yeah, this is a really good collection. I remember enjoying it a lot. Obviously, I have not read it since the 90s, but I would not part with it. I Know What the Red Clay Looks Like, short story collection. So number 7 is supposed to be a book with 7 on the cover. That does not exist. I don't think that exists. Unless the book is named Seven. So, or Seven Deadly Sins or something like that. Anyway, I don't have a book with seven on the cover. So I am going to go with this one. This is Heritage Treasures of Antigua and Barbuda by Desmond Nicholson. And the seven is published in 2007 by the Museum of Antigua and Barbuda. That's the best I can do. This book is a great resource. The work that Desmond Nicholson did, researching and documenting, I mean, certainly not alone, but putting the documentation of our history, place names, and some of the physical spaces, putting it down in a space where we can always, for me, I certainly can always come back to it and reference it, as I do as a reporter. Just recently, writing my column, Creative Space, I came back to this book, which is why it was so close to hand, because I was researching Wallings, which is a forest area in Antigua, for my column. So Desmond Nicholson is wonderful for that kind of stuff. And I'm sure if you ever come to Antigua, you can find this and other books at the museum gift shop and support the work of the museum by buying something from the gift shop. So that's number 7, published in 2007, Heritage Treasures of Antigua and Barbuda. I was just looking. I was just looking for a brief history of 7 killings. That has 7 in the title. I didn't remember that. Good book though. Man Booker, prize-winning Caribbean book. Should have thought of that, but it's okay. We're moving on. Number 8 is a book with 8 letters in it, and I think this counts. This is Quentin's Miami of Vinci. I was thinking the other day about Vinci when I was reading my last Vinci, that it's so interesting. The last Vinci I read, was it Chestnut? No, it wasn't Chestnut Street. But anyway, that Vinci kind of beat Marvel to the punch on the whole universe thing, because like you'll be reading one of her later books and Quentin's will show up, or you'll be reading a later book and the kids from Scarlet Feather will show up, or there's so much interconnectedness. Is that a word? There's so much interconnection. Basically, the characters in the backgrounds of the stories might be moved to the foreground in another story, or a place in one story might become a place in another story, or a vacation that a character took to Greece comes back around later on when you meet this character as a background character or a supporting character in another story. So I just find that she's so, it's almost as if the as fully fleshed as her characters are, it's the place that is the real character. So Quentin's is a book that shows up in several Vinci books. Sorry, Quentin's is a place, a restaurant that shows up in several Vinci books. But this is a book that centers Quentin's itself. So number 9 is a book that ends on a page that ends in the number 9. And the book I've chosen is Evening is the Whole Day by Preeta Samarasan, who was my roomie at Bread Loaf Writers Conference many years ago, and that's how I became exposed to her writing, and I'm very glad that I did. She is based in France. She's a Malaysian writer, and I think we can agree that's not a perspective we hear a lot from in popular Western fiction. So her book, in addition to being just good storytelling and a good read, is also an interesting insight to a world that a lot of us might not otherwise have seen. Okay, so the next one is a book with 10 books in the series. I don't have 10 books in a series of any series. That's even if I've read the series, that's I would not have had kept all 10 books. But I do have 4 books in the um, Alex Dalloway series by Jonathan Kellman. The first book in Alex Dalloway series, When the Ball Breaks, came out in 1985, so I probably read it shortly thereafter. So which means I've been reading Alex Dalloway novels since at least the 1990s, if not the 1980s. But the ones I have, and I don't even know what order these are in anymore, um, and I may be giving these away because it's sort of a detective mystery type of thing. You know, and once you've read it, you've read it. You know what I mean? So there's Obsession, that's one I have. I have Bones, I have The Murder Book, and I have Evidence. I don't think I have any more Alex Dalloway novels, but I've read, there's something like, I don't know, maybe 40 or more novels in the series, and there's Alex, there are even books now featuring Alex's, no, that's his wife, Faye Kellman. His wife has a series, a detective series as well, with a character named Peter Decker, and Peter's daughter, who was like, I think like a teenager when that series started. She's now a police officer herself, if not a detective, and her father is, you know, close to retirement or whatever. Um, but we're talking about Alex Delaware. Alex Delaware is a psychologist, child psychologist, I believe, and he works with Milo Sturgis, who is a detective, a gay detective. Um, so he's kind of like a pariah in his department, at least back when the series started. I suppose they accept him now, but and Alex was in a relationship with Robin and had a French bulldog. I don't know how the French bulldog is still alive. How long do French bulldogs live? In any case, there's lots of death, murder, mayhem in an Alex Delaware novel, and improbable as the plots are, he always figures it out. And there's stakes, there's danger, they put at risk, they get hurt, things happen to them. But 40 or more books later, they're still ticking. So that's my response to the Count to 10 with me book tag. My bookshelf is looking only a little bit lighter as I continue to cull it so that I can um, give away what I'm not going to keep. But bird by bird, bit by bit, as Anne Lamott would say.